Since supply chain resilience and supply chain diversification have become key buzzwords in the industry, more manufacturers are being forced to look for backup suppliers, just in case things go wrong with their primary supplier. And unfortunately, your primary supplier can be doing everything right. They might have great pricing, solid quality, and quick turnarounds. But factors that are completely out of everyone's control, like new tariffs, political tensions, or sudden disruptions, can throw everything off. That's where a backup supplier comes in. In this video, I'll break down what a backup supplier is, why having one matters, when to start looking for one, and what to look for when choosing the right partner. So first, let's define what a backup supplier actually is. A backup supplier is a secondary manufacturing partner that's ready to step in if something happens to affect the output of your primary supplier. This could include things that are within the control of the supplier, such as quality issues, increased lead times, unacceptable payment terms, and allowing costs to get out of control, while other reasons can be out of control of the supplier, such as natural disasters, tariffs, and other reasons. And really, the goal of a backup supplier is not to replace your primary supplier, but to be ready in case you need them to start making parts for you. The backup supplier becomes your safety net so you don't run out of stock in case something does go wrong. Some companies might think it's a bit ridiculous to go through all the work to qualify a supplier just to keep them as a backup. While this kind of makes sense, the risk of not having a backup supplier will outweigh the time you put into qualifying a supplier. So here are 4 reasons you need a backup supplier. The first is risk protection. No matter how reliable your primary supplier is, things can change overnight. Tariffs can increase, political tensions can rise, or your supplier might face unexpected shutdowns. If you have a backup supplier, then you can quickly change production to them rather than scrambling last minutes. The second reason has to do with tariffs, which increases your landed costs. If your backup supplier is strategically located in a different country or region, you might be able to reduce tariffs or avoid certain trade restrictions altogether. Just by changing location can decrease your total landed costs. Third is that it gives you leverage. When your supplier knows you have another option, it puts more pressure onto them to ensure the price, quality, lead time, and other factors are the best. They will know that if they slip and their output lowers, then they can be replaced. And finally is business continuity. If your supply chain has a weak point and something happens, production does not stop. You have a plan B ready to keep your deliveries on track and your customers happy. One of the biggest mistakes companies make is waiting until something goes wrong to start looking for a backup supplier. And by that time, it's usually too late. If something goes wrong and you are forced to find a backup supplier, then you are more prone to make a rash decision and choose the wrong supplier. And we really all know what happens after that. The best time to bring on a backup supplier is before you need one. So if you have a product in production and you don't have a backup supplier, then you should start to think about this. If you need a backup supplier, then feel free to reach out to us. Even if we are not a good fit, then we could put you in contact with someone that can assist you. Your backup supplier also should not be in reaction to a crisis. It should be part of your supply chain strategy. And when something unexpected happens, you have a plan in place on how to move production. If you're looking for a backup supplier, then you most likely have already evaluated your primary supplier. You have probably learned a lot of lessons from the past experience, so take time to reflect what those were. While there are many things to look for in a backup supplier, depending on your industry, volume, and other factors, I'll list out the 4 that are industry agnostic. The first factor is geographical location. Your backup supplier should be ideally in a different country or region than your primary one, especially if the goal is to reduce tariff exposure. So if your primary supplier is in Dongguan, China, then finding a backup supplier that's also in Dongguan might not solve your problem. Second, you want to look at their capabilities. They should be able to meet your product requirements, quality standards, and production volumes when needed. This is pretty straightforward, but if you have an electromechanical product, then find a supplier that can assemble mechanical and electrical parts together. The third one is to pay attention to their communication style and how responsive they are. You can learn a lot about a supplier by how they communicate with you. If their tone is a bit negative and they aren't proactive with answering questions or offering quotes, then they might not be the right fit. And finally, think long term. A backup supplier can eventually turn into a dual source partner or your next primary supplier. So make sure you keep this in mind when you're evaluating them. Certain people will view evaluating a backup supplier as a bit of a waste of time. And I can understand this to a point, but with all the other tasks, why should they evaluate a supplier when there is nothing wrong with their primary supplier? But again, it's all about being prepared if that day does come. If something happens and you can't ship products anymore, then you would have wished that you properly evaluated a backup supplier beforehand. It's unfortunate, but even the best supplier relationships can be impacted by things that are completely out of their control. Lately, we have seen tariffs shift overnight. Political tensions can rise, logistics can break down. So, a backup supplier gives you the flexibility and control to keep your supply chain stable when the unexpected happens. Think of it as your plan B. If something happens to your primary supplier, you're not stuck. You have already a partner ready to step in. I know it can be difficult to start the search with finding a backup supplier. If you need some help with this, then please reach out to us at hello@epowercorp.com. We understand we are not set up to build every product, and if we can't help you, then we most likely can get you in contact with a company that can. I hope this gives you a better understanding of what a backup supplier is and why you should have one in your back pockets. If you have found this helpful, then please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you do have any questions, then please just comment below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thank you everyone for watching.